This is Charlito Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. I am here in the Matchroom offices in Brentwood.
Why do I have to use one of these?
Because when people...
Because in all proper interviews, I'm mic'd up. So why have I got to hold this?
Well, one, I would probably say I'm not at the point of being a proper interviewer. In fact, I don't think I've ever been a proper interviewer, which you'd probably agree with on that one. And when people rip the content off the Stomping Ground and crop out the watermark...
I mean, it's such major content. They must be ripping that all the time.
All the time, because obviously we're...
Outside of my stuff, does anyone rip anything off the Stomping Ground?
Not as much.
And also, I'd like to say one thing. Me holding Stomping Ground branding is something I would normally charge 6 figures for, if I'm honest. So I think we need to come to some kind of agreement. No microphone or an unbranded microphone or a Matchroom microphone.
We could do a Matchroom microphone, in all fairness. I would have no issues with that.
Okay, good.
I think it's good to play ball, Edward. And also, you know what? I've humbled recently. I don't think I was ever arrogant. But I think sometimes in life you have to go...
What's happened? You've had a stinker, haven't you, somewhere?
No, I've not had a stinker.
You have?
I've not had a stinker.
You've arranged a date with someone and they haven't turned up?
No, I'm absolutely flying, in all fairness.
Yeah, you're flying, are you?
Absolutely flying.
Flying.
Life's good, 21 years old, but I've become more zen and tranquil. And I think there are times to... You know, like I had that weird period of chasing
21.
serotonin. I'm kind of a little bit back there, other than the fact that I was kind of bullshitting before. That was post-breakup. Now I'm actually like...
So you were chasing serotonin.
And then I stopped intently chasing
Now
serotonin.
you're more zen.
I'm still chasing it, but I'm zen. I'm just relaxed. I'm tranquil.
So
I'm
you're
happy.
chasing highs whilst being in zen?
Yeah, kind of. Like the highs are coming, but then the bads come, and you're like, fuck it. We'll have a good day again the next day.
Do you know what? I've got to show you something, actually. Last night, I've got a group chat, right, with my mates. I've got a couple of mates.
You've got friends?
Just a couple. They sent pictures from our trip to Ayia Napa in 1990.
Edward.
Right? Of which time, 2000. Of which time I was 21. Let me just show you
That's how old
something
I am.
hilarious. You're going to piss your pants at this. My hairline was unbelievable.
Was it?
Yeah, it's very sad.
I've got a really good hairline. So
Yeah, they just show you where you're going with it. Right. Here we go. Okay, so there you go. There's one for you. Can't show this one to the camera because it's got a friend of mine on it.
Oh my God! Can we zoom into your face so we don't expose your friend? You know what, Edward? I've got to give it to you. Handsome geezer.
Really?
Yeah.
No, and let me show you this
That's a little bit Elton John there.
This Elton John?
Yeah.
What?
Am I on about the right person?
What the fuck?
Maybe I'm not on about the right bloke.
No, you're definitely not onto the right
Elton
person.
John.
That's a little bit Elton John.
Elton? No, maybe. Did he have a big quiff?
No.
Oh, right. No, Elton John's the old geezer, isn't it? Who sings Your Song and that.
This is and Johnny Brickell. Ready for this one?
Oh my God. Hold on, let's zoom in on you. No. By the way, there's a monobrow there.
There is a little bit of a monobrow. And now, get ready for this one. This one's gonna... I can't even... Mate, are you ready for this one? You can't actually put it on. There you go.
Oh my God, Edward. What the fuck are you lot doing there in all honesty?
Oh, mate. And do you know what? Do you know what's the mad
There was
thing?
no Instagram then as well. You can't
No,
even,
thank
you
God.
couldn't have even got birds posting that.
You know the mad thing is I was saying last night, I was 21 then in Ayia Napa. I have no recollection of that at all.
Really?
Yeah, and I find that quite sad because
but you live life at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, but I don't know whether that was just because I'm losing my marbles or just because so much has happened.
time.
I was pissed the whole time, but just I don't know. And then when you said that earlier about you being 21, I just thought to myself, like we were just saying, wow, life back then was just unbelievable. Like absolutely zero cares in the world, zero responsibility. All you were bothered about was grafting all week and getting down the pitcher and piano on a Friday night by Liverpool Street, going Faces, going to Iron Napa, going to Faliraki, wherever. And life passes you by so quickly. I'm 46 this year. And I looked at those photos and I was like, and also, by the way, back then, I thought, this is a good thing for you as well. Back then, I thought I was the absolute nuts. Absolute nuts. Look at the state of me. And then you get a bit older and you realise I was absolutely clueless back then. But just a lesson.
That's what I was talking about. I feel like I've humbled myself.
I'll be honest with you, yeah. I feel like, I know I waffle a lot of shit and, you know, it's my job, but you have no clue right now about life.
No, I don't.
Like, absolutely clueless. No, you got to ride it, and you shouldn't do. You know, you talk about now, I've humbled myself. It's all like, you will look back in 20 years and you will go, what a complete length.
Yeah, my mum says this to me. But you know what I will say is, when you're talking about you at 21, the only reason that you are relevant within the age of current 21-year-olds is myself. Fact.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I will be honest, like, I have
been tremendous PR for you.
Yeah, but the only thing I will say, it's completely unstrategised PR.
Which is why it's worked.
Like, I would never use you for my PR because I think it's so cringe. I mean, but I was having this conversation. I can't remember something the other day. Oh, that was it. They said, do you think you're the most well-known person in Brentwood or Essex or something like that? I was like, I have no idea who else is in Brentwood or Essex. And they said, what was the name they gave? I don't know. Joe Swash, right? And I was like, I don't know. But you see the thing with me, and this is partly your fault as well, the high-end people know who I am, right? Me, which I would just like to say, without all this bollocks, I'm just a normal person. I would know me. The fight fans know me. The kids know me. And that is through a mixture of a little bit of Jake Paul and Logan Paul, your shit, AJ. So it's like across the generations.
But I'm happy that you acknowledge that, Eduardo.
I do think that a lot of our content is seen on For You pages of the younger generation.
Thank you very much.
Well, I can't tell you I'm over the moon with it.
And on that topic, I have 2 terms of brain rot, and I'm going to say them to you, and I want you to guess what they mean. The first one is huzz. And then once you guess what it means, if you guess
what does huzz mean?
Use it. And I said, you've got to guess.
Huzz.
Huzz. No idea. Huzz is, if you were in a bar and there are lots of women, you might say, I would never say this because I've learnt my lesson about birds in the bar, but you might say, it again. There's lots of huzz. In which, can you use huzz in a sentence for us?
No.
Okay. And then sigma.
Oh, my daughter says this to me all the time. No. Sigma. What the sigma?
Oh,
what the fucking, I don't know. Like, I walked in.
Have you heard skibbity?
What?
Oh, it's awful, Edward.
Skibbity.
I feel like I'm lowering myself.
I walked into the office the other day, and my nephew was here, and he was like, "Your family?" I was like, "He's 8."
Oh my God.
I know.
There we are. Now that means I'm doing something right. Very quickly before we start the interview, I've got a video message from the tremendous Luke Littler, who is WhatsApping me.
What is what is it?
What?
Sigma. What does it mean?
Like an alpha male.
In what respect?
Like I'm a Sigma male.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi Ed, it's Luke here. Thanks for the extra cash for 2026 onwards. Love your and Parsons TikToks, but it is true that he did make you famous, and that is the end of the story.
Made me famous? Littler, are you having a laugh? I mean, hold on. We have just basically... I'm absolutely fuming. Can I just say that the PDC have today announced unprecedented increase in prize pool, right? Where at the moment, the majority of that is going to go to Luke Littler. We have moved the World Championship. We've doubled the first prize of the World Championship that he won last year for 500 grand. We've just basically given him another $500,000 for Banter. And he's got the audacity to tell me that Parsons made me famous. Where's my old man? Baz up! Cancel the PDC money. Keep the prize money the same.
Oh, Luke Littler, some man for one man. Let's talk boxing before even more of the boxing hardcore fraternity hate me than they already do. Frank Warren has his first show on DAZN this Saturday. Joyce versus Philip Hrgovic. I can't help but escape the kind of negativity kind of surrounding Joyce. Whenever he fights, I don't think media, but he's never been massively great with media, obviously, but as he's taken some knockout defeats, people start to wonder if he's getting worse. Your thoughts on Joyce fighting still?
I mean, look, he had a very close fight with Derek Chisora in his last fight, right? He, without the knockdown, was it the 11th? I can't remember. It would have been very close, right? And Derek Chisora is now mandatory for the world title. He just beat Otto Wallin. I don't know. I think that the problem is with some fighters, and Joe's a good example, Joe's always been slow in the ring, right? He's never looked like, this sensational, skilled fighter. Like, he's just, in the past, he's been extremely tough. He can whack. He's a big lump, and he's got a great chin. As his career has progressed, the punch resistance has changed, right? Shots that hurt him against Chisora would never have hurt him before. You know, the two Zhang defeats, the thousands of rounds of heavy sparring have been a problem. And he will, I mean, if you want a prediction, he will get well beaten on Saturday, and it will be inside 3 or 4 rounds, I think.
But nice to have Frank on DAZN, as you guys done some good media.
Yeah, brilliant. I spoke to George this morning. It's a good show. You've got David Adelaide against TKV, Rafferty on there as well. I know that obviously it was planned for Dillian White to take on Joyce, but these things happen. And quite momentous to see Frank Warren on DAZN this Saturday. And I'll be tuned in for a rare weekend off.
You know who you might see?
Who? You. So what?
I'm just letting you know that this little dweeb from the Cotswolds is now a part-time broadcaster.
Yeah. Well, I think, that's obviously, I believe DAZN are doing the production for Frank's shows, and if they want to pick you, then, so, I mean, more fool them, mate.
Have a word, Edward. I've literally done it on your shows before. Anyway, moving on. Successful debut for Pat Brown on Friday. In what, actually, I have to say...
Good night, yeah.
Altrincham Ice Rink was great fun.
I've got to be honest with you, like, Altrincham Ice Rink is probably a venue that we will not return to. Not because we didn't enjoy it, but just because, size-wise, everything, it was perfect for a next-gen and Pat Brown. But it was very cold in there.
It was cold.
And it was... I mean, I thought the show was brilliant for a next-gen Friday night.
Really fun.
Atmosphere, Mark Dickinson's fight, Cameron Vuong, Will Crawler, Bevan, Connor Tusbury. I thought it was a really, really good show. And I thought Pat was sensational, to be honest with you. Nice and composed. Great matchmaking from Tom Dallas. Great matchmaking. Grandoni was tough as old boots. The crowd was mental. The atmosphere was great. And Pat will be back. We're just finalising a massive show for June in the UK. Really stacked card. And he will return on that.
I was having a chat with Jordan Flynn after the fight. We bumped into him, and I said congratulations, actually, because although he lost, that build-up, to me, are the fights that we need to see, where young guys putting their undefeated records on the line at early doors, but also building that narrative and proving that it doesn't just need to be the big main event shows that can do it. And actually, I kind of feel like it's those fights, it's the kind of fights like Junaid Boston and Bellow that actually can elevate the sport from a more grassroots level.
Especially on next gens. And also, it's a good way, like next gens are really important to those younger guys, because you've got like Cameron Vuong boxed at 9:30 co-main event. Pat Brown boxed at 9:30, 9:45, whatever time it was, main event. That kind of atmosphere, that kind of exposure. But if you can build at that level, if you can build some, say, grudge matches, but really competitive fights with great narrative, it really helps. And Jordan Flynn got beat. He don't lose nothing on Friday. Like, he was at a certain level. He stepped up to fight what I believe is a world-class prospect in Cameron Vuong. He got beat. He comes back. The difference is everyone knows who Jordan Flynn is now in the boxing
That's what
world.
I said to him, yeah.
So he shouldn't have a problem with getting another opportunity because he's Jordan Flynn. And if he stepped down a level onto smaller shows, he's going to be a big name on that show. And if he would have won, he would have been in an unbelievable position. But that's life.
And not to be for Sandy Ryan.
Yeah, I thought Sandy did great. I mean, look, she's had 2 big fights stateside, both on ESPN, both headline. You know, financially, she's done very well. Thank you to Top Rank for the opportunity, particularly for the second fight. And thank you to Mikaela Meyer, because she didn't have to give it a rematch. I'll be honest. She's very good, Mikaela Meyer. She's a very, very tough fighter to beat, you know. And I watched her. We had Hamadouche fight her a few years ago, and I was live there. Her work rate is unbelievable. I mean, she threw something like 560, 580 punches on Saturday, and I just don't know how you beat her. Like, because if you try and outbox her, and I think Sandy was kind of stuck in between strategies a little bit. She started okay, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, like she lost all those rounds. I actually thought she finished well. I probably scored it 7-3, maybe 6-4 to Mikaela, but she won well. But it's like, if you try and box Mikaela, her volume is so high that, you know, you can land a counter 1-2, and then she just comes back with like 7 or 8. She steps in the pocket, she's working the body. And I thought she boxed really, really well. I think she's a very good fighter, Mikaela Meyer. Very good fighter. And you know, the Lauren Price fight sounds like the fight to make. I haven't really watched too much of Lauren as a pro, but Mikaela's going to be very hard to beat. She really impressed me, I've got to be honest. I thought Sandy was outstanding. She's given us 2 great fights, and I said to her yesterday, like, she's very disappointed, you know, and I spoke to Brian, her manager, Brian Peters, and her, and I said to them, like, for me, you got 2 options here. When you get beat, you either come back and have a little build-up fight, or you go straight back in the deep end. And that's the decision to make now over the next couple of weeks. You got to remember, Sandy hasn't had that many pro fights. She jumped in real early. Like, she lost her third fight.
7-3-1
yeah,
or so,
but
I like that.
She lost against Farias early in her career, very early in her career. Then she rematched her and won. Then she boxed McCaskill, which was the worst decision I've ever seen, which was a draw. And now she's lost twice to Meyer. So part of me thinks, well, it's okay to have a fight or 2 to just, you know, get the confidence back. But I feel like her mentality is going to be, I just want big fights. And, you know, I said to George Warren, for me, Sandy Ryan against Chantel Cameron is the fight. I think it's a brilliant fight. Style-wise, will just be absolutely all action. And, yeah, well done to Mikaela Meyer. Well done to Sandy Ryan. I thought she did fantastically well, you know. Both a credit to the sport. Both gave a tremendous fight for women's boxing. And Sandy will be back 100%.
Looks like Derek Chisora has landed himself another shot at the title against Daniel Dubois. Delboy's sick, isn't he? I mean, people were calling for him to retire for years and years and years, and he just keeps doing something.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure he'd beat Wilder. Every conversation I had with Delboy about fighting a southpaw, he hated it. Yeah. And, you know, he's just become, obviously, he's hugely experienced, and he knows his way around the ring, and he knows how to beat fighters, you know. And he's tough for anybody, whether it's Usyk, whether it's Dubois, you know. I don't see him fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship next anyway. But who knows? Good luck to him.
It's funny you say that. I did hear rumours that Usyk Dubois done for Wembley. Have you heard anything?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that's the natural fight for Queensberry to try and make, obviously. And for, you know, I said this the other day about Usyk. I got a bit of stick because I said I think he should retire. Not because he's fading, but because he's done absolutely everything. And how unbelievable would it be? But, you know, a fight with Dubois is an opportunity for him to become a 2-time undisputed heavyweight world champion. He has already beat Dubois But it's a very tough fight, you know, especially with Daniel, with the momentum, even though that's stalled a little bit with the illness. But still, like, Dubois is going to be a handful. And, yeah, if that gets made for Wembley, it'd be great.
See Anthony Joshua and Benn Shalom? Little photo?
Yeah, I think he's signing with Benn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Wow, yeah, breaking news.
Yeah.
What were they just at?
It's an Usher concert, wasn't it, or something?
Nice.
Yeah.
Little photo with the guys, fair enough.
No Usher for me.
No Usher for Eduardinho.
I like Usher, though.
On a Saturday. I'm not a big Usher fan myself, I must say.
Bit old for you.
What would I listen to? I don't know, actually. What's the old Spotify saying? Let's have a quick look.
I'll be honest with you, no one's interested.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
No one's interested in your Spotify or what you listen to.
Quite a good point, in all fairness.
Just talk about me.
We did have a good chat about music earlier, though. On the topic of Benn Shalom, he did an interview with Carl Froch and said that the bet between the two of you can be made. It's perfectly legal in the form of a promoter bonus. He says that the bet is on. He knows that you'll stand on business. There is no way out of this for you. In which Carl Froch said, "You need to be a man of your word, Eddie."
Really, do I? Well, they can both fuck off. I'll do exactly what I want. And, you know, as we've received a letter from the British Boxing Board of Control saying we cannot bet in any form, doing it in a promoter bonus. I mean, I put this bet on Benn Shalom about a month ago because he was giving it the big one at the presser, 100 grand, blah, blah, blah. But I think we could work something out for maybe a charity bet. But I need confirmation that he's settled all his bills first. And when he's done that, we can move forward.
What kind of charity incentive would we be talking?
I don't know. What's something amusing that could generate a lot of money? Like,
if Benn wins.
If Benn wins, Conor Benn or Benn Shalom?
Conor Benn, sorry.
I don't know. Conor Benn wins, we could do 3 2-minute rounds of sparring, live on the Stomping Ground, live streamed, and it's, I don't know, a $5 a pop for charity or a $10 a pop. You could get to the $1 million that way. If Eubank wins, I don't know, what could I do? I'll clean his car live on the Stomping Ground, you know, and he can tell me, no, more there, get the alloys going. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Are you serious about that?
Yeah, I don't want to break the British Boxing Board of Control rules.
Fine. So that is the alternative. I'm here for it.
We can do something fun. I mean, I'm sure we can. I'm not, promoter bonuses, and that is still a bet. I mean, we're betting on the outcome of a result. So
supposedly, Benn's lawyer spoke to the Gambling Commission, who have said it's fine.
Oh my God, what a length! He was the one who screamed and shouted at first that it wasn't allowed. So, yeah, I'm sure we can work something out. But again, he's got to settle his bills first. And then we'll go from there.
On that? Oh, Eddie, you made a comment. I actually don't know if this was. A couple of people asked me, and initially I thought maybe directed at Benn, but then there are a few other people in there. You said something about fake subscribers and fake stats the other day in our interview. Who did you mean by that?
What, buying Instagram followers?
I didn't. Was it Instagram? I wasn't aware. You said that you had the receipts.
No, we're keeping it in there.
Okay, fine.
But there are a lot of people in boxing that buy Instagram followers and likes and views, which I find the most bizarre thing. Subscribers,
I don't get it myself, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's too cringe to expose.
That I'm here for.
Maybe.
We'll see one day.
Yeah.
If the buttons are pushed incorrectly.
We did some analysis on it, and it's
quite easy
clear
to
as
tell
day. Yeah. I've got some shocking stats on it, but anyway, it's a bit like.
Yeah. Piers Morgan, the face-off, felt he was a little bit pro Conor Benn.
Quite be nice for a change, wouldn't it? Imagine someone being pro Conor Benn. No, I felt that. I thought that Chris Eubank handled himself very well on the personal stuff about his dad and stuff like that. I did feel like, it was, like for me, it's not something you talk about really. I get the question in this arena with this narrative. Like, is your dad going to be there and all that, or what? Could you talk about what happened? But once you kind of, I just felt it went on a little bit too long. But, I thought it was a really good watch, if I'm honest. And I thought Conor was quite compassionate. I mean, bear in mind, when was this filmed? Like the day after he whacked him around the face with an egg? So, yeah, I don't know. I think the personal stuff. But, if you're going to have that kind of interview, you're probably going to get asked about that, and I don't know the situation, but I thought it was on the whole, I thought it was a very good interview.
I will also say...
What will you say?
That Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr. I wasn't sure, if I'm honest, not that anyone gives a fuck my opinion, but I wasn't sure if after all the time out it would be quite as big, a stadium fight. Obviously it was the O2 before. There are, and I'm only saying this because of like not your stereotypical boxing audience, I speak to, like, some of the women I'm like mates with are talking to me about the fight. They're seeing it all over their social media. This is one that's actually like gone past the boxing audience. It really is like more. It was more evident the more I speak to people about it, about how mainstream this fight really is.
The fight's huge, and we haven't. I mean, look, Eubank played a blinder. You know, I know it was expensive for him, and I know that I don't agree with what he actually did, but the reality is it's everywhere. He doesn't stop, you know, he's slagging me off every day. People love that shit. So he's just growing the fight, growing everybody's profile, and he's doing a brilliant job. I think that the fight, as it draws closer, and the media opportunities that will come closer, I'm talking about Good Morning Britain, I'm talking about national news, I'm probably talking about front page, back page. The fight is going to be huge. It's going to do huge pay-per-view numbers, well over 1 million buys. And you know it's sold over 60,000 tickets already. Like, it's just a massive fight. And I'll be honest with you, like, I watch Conor Benn train, and I hear like Simon Jordan's comments about, oh, this is a circus. Well, this is a great fight. A great fight. I mean, it's very difficult to pick a winner in the fight. And people are, you go to different pundits, fighters, whatever. I think most a slight edge to Eubank because of the size. Other people that know Conor better, no, I think he stops him. Like, it's a brilliant fight. You're not talking about like two British greats that you just grab their sons off the sofa and put them in a misfits fight. This is two world-class fighters in their respective divisions. And I just think stylistically as well, it's just a brilliant, intriguing matchup. And it will deliver. And that's the difference. You know, it's not going to be a fight where they're going to go in and like feel each other out. And they're going to fucking try and take each other's heads off. Clean. And I've never seen Conor train like this. You know, he's in the most incredible shape. Incredible shape. And one thing you have to know about a fighter is, and this transcends through life, if you get yourself in the best condition and the best position possible, that's all you can do. And Conor will be fitter, stronger, and more ready than he's ever been in his life for this fight on April 26th. And when you do that, you can walk out and have some fun with it, you know? Because it's just, then you just let fate and God take over and say, I've done it. I've done all my work. Let's fucking go. And that is, it's going to be, you imagine when those two get in the ring at Spurs. Huge.
Atmosphere would be incredible. Fantastic stadium for any form of event, by the way, Tottenham Hotspur. Chris Eubank Jr. baffles me, Edward. And this is more like, I'm just wondering your opinions on a personal level, away from all the theatrics at the press conference table and that. But, like, he just seems so nonchalant. Now, I can't tell if that's a bit of an act or not, but, like, every interaction he just doesn't seem to care really about anyone other than himself, to the point where I'm pals with Conor, but I kind of have to respect the shithousery of it.
People think he's rude.
But do you not kind of respect the shithousery of it? Like, it's quite funny.
Yeah, but the thing is with Junior, and this is the same with Senior, you end up buying into the persona that you've created for the act, for the drama. If you look at Chris Eubank Senior, he never spoke like that. Do you think when he came into my dad's office for the first time, when he was like basically living semi-rough in Atlantic City or wherever he was, like he walked in and went, hello, good afternoon? No, not at all. That was in time. Like, he never came into my dad's office with a cane and a monocle and a tweed, and a sheriff. This is stuff that he. But now, you see, when you walk through the door, they don't take all those clothes off and go, fucking hell, that was some day. God, blimey. They carry it on in their normal life. And that's what Junior has had, that persona as well. And that's his personality now with people. I don't really know him personally. I don't have any.
You think he really hates you as much as he says? Because my whole thing is like, when you look at the last fight, there were a lot of people involved within that, and whether right or wrong, you trying to
no,
keep
I don't think the last. No, he did.
Right?
He wanted to carry on with the fight. I mean, but that's water off a duck's back now. Do I think he dislikes me as much as? I've never really been in his company that many times. When I have been, I wouldn't say he's been friendly. I don't think he's friendly with anyone, if I'm honest. But it was reasonably cordial. I don't know. I think he gets it. I think he's playing a blinder here. I think he's doing a great job for everybody. I think he lost his. I think this is the stage that he needs. I think he lost his way a little bit. You know, the whole on this stage, that kind of stuff works really well. But on a smaller scale, when you're like on an undercard or something like that, and you're at a bottom table, it don't really work. And I feel like this is the stage that Eubank needs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I know that Frank Warren and him have the back and forths, and Frank talks about him next gen. I just can't believe he's 36.
That is mad. That is mad.
Because I don't see him as a 36-year-old. I see him as still relatively young in his career. But this is the end of his career. And I think he knows that. And you know, I think what fascinates me about people like Eubank is like, what are you really... Because I don't think Eubank's really had that much ambition to create a legacy and win world titles and stuff like that. I think Chris likes the fly life, and I think he wants to make as much money as possible and probably fuck off to Dubai and yeah, and I get that. Play poker and all that kind of stuff. So each to their own. Don't hate that, you know. I think Conor has much more desire than Eubank. Much more. It doesn't mean you're going to win. But he's really prepared to do, honestly, whatever it takes on April 26th. Whatever it takes. And, you know, Eubank, if he got beat, could be his last fight. But I think it's a brilliant fight. Forget everything else. I just think it's a brilliant fight.
Jake Paul is a genius at staying relevant within the boxing world. Usyk sharing a post about a fight with Jake in MMA.
Yeah.
Well,
he could go back to back. He could fight AJ at boxing and then Usyk at MMA.
Yeah,
the fighters. I don't think boxers would ever fight in MMA. Really, I'm sure there are some that would.
There's more money in. That's why boxing, all the MMA fighters come over to Conor and whatever.
Yeah, I can't see Usyk in the.
Dana White made some comments just on the topic of kind of UFC and everything after Callum Walsh. Is it Callum Walsh's fighter in New York, and kind of said about cooperating and working with promoters. Now, Turki Al-Sheikh has said, you guys kind of will be. Dana said, no, His Excellency's kind of got some commitments over the next 18 months, but he wants to build boxing from the bottom up. When asked if he'll work with you, Oscar De La Hoya, he said he's not so sure. What do you think when you hear that?
Did he say that? Don't know, I've always got on pretty well with Dana. So, I think there's a couple of ways, really. I mean, you either... you're either in alliance with someone or you're competing against them. And I have no problem with either. You know, I've never fallen out with Dana. I get on very well with him. If he becomes a competitor, that doesn't change. We still, but I respect him. But we compete against each other in the space. And that's a great buzz. But I don't know. I mean, there's so much information to come out about the league. As I said, the only thing I know about the league is the fighters they're recruiting, because we're being told, we've seen approaches and contracts and stuff like that. And I just think it's different to what people anticipate, if I'm honest. I think that they'll probably be given the spot to promote Canelo Crawford or something like that, as a sort of in-house promoter, like we are an in-house promoter for Eubank Benn. We're the lead promoter for that fight. Then Queensbury will do Canelo in Riyadh, So I don't know. I think, listen, whatever way, I think there's some people in the boxing world that Dana really dislikes with a passion.
Like De La Hoya and Aaron.
And there's some people he gets on with and respects, which I think I'm the latter. But we can get on with each other and respect each other and still go to war in the industry. It doesn't have to be toxic, but or we can work together. I don't know. I'm easy.
Charge it to the game?
Charge it to the game. That's what we're going to do.
MVP making some cool signings in women's boxing. Good for the sport, right?
Fantastic. Yeah. I think, look, we made a play back in, blimey, I don't know when it was now, 2017 with women's boxing, and we completely changed the face of women's boxing globally with the great help of Katie Taylor. We've put it in a fantastic position. Our investment in women's boxing doesn't change, but we just run a business, and that business works accordingly if it's male or female boxing. I feel like sometimes women's boxing's stuck between two levels of a fighter coming through and fighting for a world title, and then the big stuff, and the stuff in the middle, which becomes quite expensive. And that's nothing to do with it being female or male. It's just all fights become quite expensive. Some of it don't work, if I'm honest. And Taylor Serrano, Mayer against Sandy Ryan, even Nicholson Brown the other week. Yeah, creates a lot of noise and a lot of people tune in. And then you could sometimes get stuck in the voluntary defences, and it's just not working. It doesn't deliver. No. So, yeah. But that's the same. Sometimes people think, oh, that's women's. That's the same with men's boxing. You know, sometimes you bring a fighter through, they win a world championship, and then they're defending, defence 1 and 2. It's a bit like Boots. Look, Boots had to go away and fight Chidazian and Abanesian on late notice. He was making a lot of money, and sometimes it's hard to make the numbers work. And now, all of a sudden, 12 days' time, you got the biggest fight in America this year, Boots Stanionis. And it's like, it was worth the investment. So you just got to get it right as a business. Our investment in women's boxing is not changing, but our selection process and our strategy may change a little bit. They see an opportunity to sign female fighters. We've got, female fighters that we represent whose contracts are up, or they've got first last, who have been made offers by MVP. And I always say, I look at those things very honestly with a fighter. If there's a brilliant life-changing opportunity, you've got to go and do it. Don't worry about us or Matchroom, and I'll tell you to go. If we can match it, or if we believe we've got a better strategy for you, we'll say, no, stay with us, we're good. But sometimes you'll see some offers and just go, wow, you have to take it. And life's about timing. Your career's about timing. Sometimes someone comes in, like MVP, and goes, let's make a play for women's boxing. It's amazing for female fighters, But for us, we want to maintain our position in female boxing. I'm not too fussed about a huge roster. I just want the right fighters who have the right commercial value, who can really fight.
Edward, am I right in believing that over the course of the last week, and maybe actually over the course of the last couple of days, there's been some carrots dangled and preliminary conversations about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua?
No.
Well,
no.
Not at all?
Not from my side, no. I mean, look, whether the two of them ever have a conversation. Sometimes...
I doubt they're WhatsApping each other, though.
I think you'd be surprised.
Really?
I think you'd be surprised. I think that, and that's not... I haven't heard that or anything, just to put that out there. But honestly, with fighters of that level, right, with that experience, with that commercial... I mean, we're AJ's exclusive promoter. We would do the entire show. But sometimes those conversations start between a fighter.
Let's make this happen type.
It could be.
Yeah.
Maybe Fury's bored at home and goes, oi, what does he call him? You big stiff idiot, or whatever it is.
Dosser.
Yeah, do you fancy it? And it probably wouldn't be in that tone, or it might be AJ going, listen, I'm about to make my next move. Are you 100% out? I don't know anything about those conversations, but that's generally how it would start. It wouldn't really, at this level, it's not going to be me speaking to Frank Warren or Spencer Brown, going, guys, is there any way we can make an approach, or you can have a word with Tyson? It will just take Tyson sitting there one day and going, and I'll tell you what might help. If Dubois fights Usyk, That's the kind of thing that might make Tyson Fury go, oh yeah.
Let's get back in the
Yeah, and our one's much bigger. Do you know what I mean? He's funny like that, but it's purely on Tyson Fury. We're ready. We'd sign that fight tonight, you know? And I truly believe he'll be back. I really do. It's just timing.
What's AJ's motivation? Because I don't dispute that, and I feel like I don't need to get that off you. But with the amount of money he's made in the sport and doing what he's done for British boxing as a whole, if it's not the Tyson Fury fight, and say maybe not the Daniel Dubois rematch, similar to Oleksandr Usyk, what's the point?
Because there's two things. Number one is the moment it starts being about the money, in anything you do, is the moment when you have to consider your position and the passion that you have left for something, right? Like, not being funny, do you think I come in every day going, oh, got to make some money, money. No, I come in, I absolutely love it. I love it. I love the shows. I love bringing fighters through. I love the big moments. Got to be careful here. If I never made another bean, I'd still be doing it. And that's what makes you dangerous.
Another
bean, money, dollar. Charge it to the game. But that's the truth. And that shows you how I feel about this. If you know, and if you've got that kind of desire and passion, it makes you very difficult to compete against. Now, in boxing, more so, once you lose that desire, that competitive instinct, that chase for legacy and greatness and love for the sport, and it just becomes about money. Like, you look at what I just said there, look at AJ. Like, the money that he's accumulated, he doesn't need to make another penny. He's not looking at it going, oh, just one more payday, or I hope I get the Fury fight. That's a big payday. Do you think that amount of money is going to change his life? No. He wants the fight. He loves to fight. He loves the training camps. He loves the thrill of war. He loves the competitiveness. And when you start going, oh, do you know what? I'll just have one more for the money. That is when you start getting beat. You know? So when your question is, why would you want to do it anymore? Because you love it. You know? That's really simple. That's why you want to do it anymore. You've always got to try and remove the money. You've always got to get the best deal for yourself and your career, but you've always got to try and remove the money and just say, it's just, do I want to do this? Am I enjoying it? Do I love what I do? And AJ loves what he does. He loves to fight. And when he finishes, he will hate it. He will really struggle with not having that in his life. But when you finish, it's when, not just when the passion goes, but when the physicalities go.
You know that
you're just not the same fighter. And that's enough. There's two reasons to walk away from the sport. One is physically you're not the same fighter anymore. And two, your love for the sport has evaporated and gone. You know, and I've seen so many fighters over the years retire. I mean, you know, when I look at my great relationships with world champions and fighters and Froch and Barker and Bellow, but you know, I look at the retirement and everyone's different, right? Carl Froch retired so unexpectedly for me. I mean, I was standing on a beach. I remember it as clear as day. And we'd been offered, I can't remember what it was, 5 million, 6 million to fight Julio Cesar Chavez in Vegas, right? And this was Carl Froch's dream, to fight in Vegas in a massive fight like that. And Chavez was absolutely the perfect opponent. And I remember so clearly, I was walking on the beach, I was in Mauritius. It was like December, it was around Christmas time. And I'm like, mate, and Carl would always drive a hard bargain, right? I was so excited about this fight for him. But he's got to try and pretend that he's not excited, right? Or, you know. So I spoke to him and I'm like, Carl, you ain't going to believe this. We've had an offer from Hearn to do the Chavez fight in Vegas, and it's 5 million or 6 million or whatever it was. And he's like, this money's not great, is it? I'm thinking, well, firstly, that's their first offer. And secondly, like, yes, it is good. I know you made more for the Groves fight, but this is like, what an big opportunity. Yeah. And he just went, do you know what? My elbow's playing up a bit. And, you know, and I just thought it was Carl
Being Carl.
Yeah, to try and get more money. And I couldn't believe he retired. But he knew within himself, like, and I thought it was a very brave decision. Because Carl, when you talk about money, Carl would scrap with you for 10p on the floor.
Look at the whole Jake Paul.
Yeah, but that's why Carl was what he was. Tough bastard. Fucking. Wow, he was so tough. Stubborn.
Is your relationship not affected by it? Because Carl's always been Carl. But, I mean, Froch on fighting is great fun, but he's very... I don't want to say disloyal, because I don't think that's fair, because there's no real need to technically be loyal anymore, I suppose. But, like...
Well, there is.
He kind of says it how
there's always reasons to be loyal. You know, I don't feel like Carl has been disloyal by some of the things that he said. Some of the things he said have made me go, like, you know, but how I feel about Carl Froch will never change the amount of respect I have for him as a fighter. And we went on an incredible journey together. Like, don't forget, when I started, he, you know, I mean, I didn't need a leg up, but he put his faith in me when I had no fighters other than Darren Barker. Carl Froch was like my second signing around the time with Kell Brook. And by the way, I helped him. He's the fighter, but I helped him completely change his life forever. And we went on an amazing run. Amazing. It's like one of the greatest times of my life and the most fondest experiences. But Carl can sometimes be a difficult individual. Like, he's extremely stubborn and sometimes can get the hump and sometimes wind himself up. But I love Carl. And I'll always, you know, we will always be able to sit and talk about. And the great thing about that relationship is I did him right 110% every time. I never took any liberties. I was 1,000,000% honest. I delivered everything I promised I'd do. And guess what? So did he. You know what I mean? And that's when you can shake hands, look each other in the eye and go...
Look back and go, wow.
There's other people who, you know, I look at Tony Bellew. I mean, Tony Bellew would literally... If there was a car coming down the road and he saw it veering towards you, he would jump in front of it.
Ride or die type.
Yeah. Like, Tony Bellew's loyalty is on another level. Sometimes we have to say, all right, Tone, calm down. Because Tone's still calm down. Go, everything all right? And yeah, what's that bloke say over there? Do you want me to go and talk to him? It's like, no, Tone, it's fine. Like, Tony is the ultimate in loyalty. And that was across all our relationship, from contracts to everything. And, you know, I'm the kind of person that if you put that loyalty in me, I will repay it 1,000 times. So when we were doing the big fights with Tony, and I'm saying to Tony, Tone, I need to sit down with you, go through this deal. And he says to me, Ed, just get me the best deal you can. I trust you on everything. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like someone coming in questioning what you're doing. Are you doing this? It was just like, oh my God. Like, I've got to get this guy, the great. And I'll never take that for granted. But anyway, going back to what we originally said about people retiring at certain times, Froch was one where it was like, I can't believe he's retired. I mean, he sparked Groves at Wembley. His profile was bigger than ever. We had all these fights ahead of us. I mean, only 2 or 3, but still, like Vegas for Chavez and blah. And he was like, no, I'm done. And I was quite surprised by that, really. But also, I thought it was a very brave decision and one where he can walk away from the sport. I mean, you know, he'd made a lot of money by then. And then you look at Barker. Barker couldn't wait to get out. Do you know what I mean? His love for the sport. Like, he'd always loved boxing, but he didn't like the training. His body kept breaking down. And, like, you know, as much as you remember the conversation on the beach in Mauritius, I remember when Darren Barker lost to Felix Stern, you know, and his hips were in tatters. He could hardly stand up and basically just came out for a war, which wasn't Darren's style. You know, he was a master boxer. And we sat in the bar, Stuttgart, I think it was, after the fight. And I remember him sitting there. I'll never forget it. And he had a pint. I think his mum was there, like, holding his hand. And he was like, oh, his hips are in tatters. And I just saw him take a sip of his beer. And he just went, and I knew that what was in his head was, it's all over. And I looked at him and I went, you're done, aren't you? He went, 100%. And I just thought, wow. You know, and then you look at AJ, some point he's going to have to make a decision. The best blessing you can have is walking away on your terms when you've achieved everything you've ever dreamed of and financially you're secure. And that happens to 0.0001% of fighters. But it happened to Darren Barker. It happened to Tony Bellew. It happened to Carl Froch. And I want to see that happen to AJ as well. You walk away on your terms. I don't want to see AJ start, finish his career. Sometimes you look on the box rec of a fighter, great fighters, and it goes loss, 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 like loss. Wilder. And you go, yeah, but Wilder was never a great fighter. I'm talking about fighters, legends, who just went on 4 or 5 fights too many. Mike Tyson, a good example, But I get it, like... It kind of spoils it a little bit. But it doesn't, but it does, if you know. Yeah, you can never, even Ali went on too long. Yeah. Yeah. But, if you can walk away on your terms, and that's all I ever want for AJ. I want AJ, same thing. Everything that we've experienced in his career, I want to one day, 5 years, 10 years, wherever we are in the world, just be able to sit down and go, what a ride. How's life? Life's great, mate. Couldn't ask for a better life. You happy? I'm so happy. Oh, that's beautiful, That's it.
You will be in Atlantic City next week.
I will be. Massive.
Can I say, and big up to Lewis Hart on this one, the biggest fight in recent history at 147 outside of Crawford.
Spence. Yeah, I think this fight, it is the biggest fight in the US this year for me. It's supremacy. Number 1 v number 2. WBA, IBF, Ring Magazine. It's the best fight in the welterweight division. And stylistically, it's such a brilliant fight. Like, Stanionis is a beast.
Yeah, really good.
Beast. All action, non-stop work rate, really good technique. And Boots is up against it. Boots, for all the hype for everything, this is the fight where Boots shows you that he's a true great. And I can't wait. Boardwalk Hall, we're going to have I think we'll have 10,000 in there. It's going to be absolutely incredible. It's the biggest fight in the USA this year. It's the best fight in the USA this year. And April 12th, Boardwalk Hall.
Rest of sort of your schedule coming up, we're in Sheffield, Small Talk returns for Dalton Smith.
Yep, so where are we now? Next week, we are in Atlantic City for Boots Stanionis. The week after, we've got a great little card actually. Dalton Smith, Josh Warrington, Ishmael Davis, Josh Padley. We've got about 100 tickets left for that fight. The week after is Eubank Benn at Spurs. The week after that, Friday night in Times Square. We're handling that event for Ring Magazine.
Are you going to be in Times Square for that?
Yeah, then we've got...
Way of doing both, I'm hearing.
Yeah, so there might be a way of doing both, but we might rely on His Excellency's transport. So if so, I'd love to be able to go Times Square on a Friday, Riyadh on the Sunday morning. The week after that is no show. And then the week after that is the big one. Johnny Fisher against Dave Allen. We've done like 6,000 tickets already. We're nearly sold out. About less than 1,000 left, I think, in the Copper Bosch. And then the week after that could be a Mexico show, and also shortly to be announced Sugar Nunes against Rikishi for the IBF world title. I'm going to fly to Japan for that because Nunes is my guy, and that's a massive fight for us in the division. And then we go into June, where we will be announcing a huge US show and a huge UK show in June. 2 shows.
Bam in June?
Possibly. And then another US show in July. And another UK show in July as well. I've got a really... we're working on a show for the Midlands for June.
Allow your fire.
He could be well involved with that, and it's just such a good card. I was writing it out earlier and hoping to... I've really got the bit between my teeth. I really want to create some brilliant nights, and I think British boxing is getting ready for another rise. I think there's some fantastic fighters coming through, and I'm more motivated than ever.
You're more motivated than ever, but as long as I've known you, there's always been I don't want to fucking do this forever. I believe that's the same with Frank Smith.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why all this new thing is. Oh, I've heard you're retiring.
No, I don't mean that necessarily. But what do you see as does the passion run like it?
The passion will never. My passion for boxing. Me and Frank Smith are very different. He says he don't like boxing. He does like boxing, but he has, and he says he has no clue about boxing. He does because he's been around it for 15 years. Right? He doesn't have the same passion for boxing. If Frank Smith never walked into a boxing gym again or never went to a boxing show again, he would be fine. If I leave boxing, I will be at shows all the time. Exactly. I'll be investing in community clubs. I will be driving my daughter down to the gym. I will be going to top tier shows and GBM shows and whatever, you know, and it's everything that I spoke to you about earlier is exactly the same for me. The minute it goes, the minute...
Will it? Because I sit here...
There's two sides. Physically, I've got to say, like, how I want to do my job and and where I want to take the business globally, physically, and people might think, shut up, like, trust me when I say, it's tough.
Oh, of course
I'm in another country nearly every week.
Orlando,
like, don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it. And I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. I love it.
But it is brutal.
It's tough on the body, and probably from a health perspective, it probably ain't great. But the one thing that I want to do more than anything is lay on the deathbed in that moment and go, fuck me. What a life. What a ride. But more importantly, you gave it everything you did. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I get asked the question, how would you like to be remembered? And I know all the cheesy stuff of a good guy, you know, yeah, he was good, yeah, it was great, you know, but one of the things I really want to be remembered for is people go, fuck me, he was a grafter, that geezer. You know, like and I want to be able to go, you couldn't have done any more. And that's how I want to, and when I can't do that anymore, that's when, like, you know, I'm not going to be going, do you know what, I don't really like it anymore, but we're making good money, so I'll just keep doing it. Because that's actually...
How long do you see yourself travelling from continent to continent, time zone to time zone, the way you do now? Like...
Till either the passion goes, and I'm really not enjoying it anymore.
10, 15 years.
Could be. Or, physically, I can't do it anymore.
How are you physically? You're the fittest.
Yeah, but you never know, do you?
Time,
I could have a heart attack tonight,
true, yeah.
right? And then all of a sudden the doctor says, you just can't do this anymore. You can't get on a plane and go from Orlando to Sydney to Altrincham.
How would that affect the business?
Yeah, but that would be... but also, don't forget, I'm trying to... I always try, like, people say, you don't have to go to that weigh-in.
Build the next.
Right? Yeah, but not just that. And you know, the only thing you may see sometimes is maybe me not at a weigh-in, or maybe me not at a smaller next-gen press conference or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But that's where you just got to be a little bit smarter with your time. I'm not very good at being smart with my time. You know, Kai down there will just be like, you're mental. Like, I got back from Altrincham on Saturday. I came straight to the office, I ran 10K, and then 3 hours later I did a strength session with him up the road. And he's like, what are you doing? Like,
but that's good, actually, to an extent.
Yeah, but the whole thing about that you wear is telling you...
I ever bought
but telling you...
To relax, and you
don't
relax.
When to train.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
but
I don't really take anything.
I've always got this...
Even though I've got
what I said to you earlier about being remembered, like I've got this little bit of a sick trait. What's the toxic trait?
Toxic trait.
Which is when I shouldn't... Like, I like to work like a dog to the bone. You know, I don't know why I do that. Don't know, but like, you know, when someone's going to me, you've just flown from Orlando to Sydney, 3 days back, gone to Altrincham, done that. You've flown straight in. You've done media all day for 10 hours, and then you go, are you? And I go, yeah. And it's like that sort of
turns you on a bit.
It does. I don't know why. Maybe we should do a live therapy session for me.
Really?
Maybe.
I don't think you should. That's kind of a bit more...
No, but don't you think it's... I feel that...
Not everything.
A lot of your traits... I think a lot of your traits come from childhood, right? And that's the same with trauma as well. I mean, I guess that may be a version of trauma. I don't know. But I had a great upbringing. But I wonder why I'm like that, you know? Like when I'm tired and when I'm fucked.
Because your old man never quit, and he still hasn't.
Yeah. But when I'm tired, and that's when I go, let's go harder. Let's go again. You know? I don't know. Maybe that will change as time goes on. But I guess that makes me what I am. Because I don't want to put myself down, but I'm not, you know, it's not like I'm some kind of mathematical genius or, you know, I'm just a grafter, a hustler. And that's what makes me what I am, the work rate. Because I know the others got to say, like Warren cut from a similar cloth.
Yeah.
Like that thing the other day at the HQ of DAZN. We were there I left the house at 6:30 in the morning, and I got home at 11 at night, right? And it was non-stop all day, travelling around media, you know. And I'm looking at him at 7:30 at night in the HQ at Hammersmith, and he's like sweating and I'm thinking, fuck me, what's he, 73? Unbelievable. My old man, he's in there now.
I have to go and say hello to Baz.
Yeah, but like he's
same.
Yeah.
It's a graft.
Yeah, I know, but you know.
That's what it is. Family graft.
It still comes down to love what you do.
That is true.
If you on it, like he loves it. He retired a few years ago.
But he's not retired.
Well, but he's supposed to be. But he don't want to sit at home.
Yeah.
He wants to be in here.
Edward, my battery is flashing.
Good.
That is an hour banked.
Oh, what? I said
a
half an hour.
I enjoyed that chat very much. Just finally, I don't know if it's going to cut us off, but we're off to Budapest next week, the lads. So, little message for the boys ahead of Budapest.
What is that?
Just little piss up with the lads.
You're going to Budapest.
Yeah. Little message for the group chat.
Okay. Is this to the lads? Yeah.
To the lads.
Lads, you're out. I'm so jealous.
Oh yeah.
You're going to Budapest, right? Who's going?
Myself.
I bet they've all got nicknames, haven't they?
DG.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Can you call DG a villager? Just quickly.
Okay. DG.
You're a villager.
Who else? Don't worry, I've got this.
Webby.
Paul.
Peter.
Paul and Peter.
Christian men. They don't need nicknames.
Paul, Peter, Webby, and DG. Wilmot.
That's his surname, to be fair.
So,
God, I've missed
Paul,
Peter,
Webby, DG.
Let me just... I can't miss anyone out, otherwise I'm going to be in the absolute mud.
And if I've missed someone out...
Rendell. I can't forget
Who?
Rendell.
Rendell Munro.
Rendell.
Peter, Paul, Webby, DG,
the villager,
Wilmot, and Rendell. Which one's the villager?
DG.
Okay. Shout out Paul, Peter, Webby, Wilmot, Rendell, and the villager, DG. Get ready for the ultimate experience. Budapest, here we come. I want non-stop action. I want an unbelievable engine to have it from the day you arrive till the day you leave. I don't want any quiet nights. I want stories. I want 21 year of age mentality. And I want you to ruin Charlie Parsons out there. You know the other thing as well? Is it Budapest?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine from Budapest runs all the nightclubs, all the restaurants, and all the main bars.
Can you look after us next week, Edward?
No, I'm joking.
Okay, fuck you.